Science versus reality creation. Now, I'm not anti science, and I've heard that too, okay? He's anti science, he's anti religion, he's anti new age. Why don't you just shut up and let me talk? No, I'm just kidding. I'm not anti science. I like especially engineering. That's my favorite part of science. It's an exact science. I'm more against political propaganda masking as science. A lot of popular science is actually propaganda uh, that pretends to be science because they know everybody trusts the science, so they have to sound scientific to peddle their garbage. So the way science is practiced in modern society is a very different mentality from reality creation. Reality creation does not examine what is already created, as science does, so called science, but it examines the cause of that which is created, the source of that which is created, which is consciousness. Consciousness is prior to creation. First there's consciousness, then there's imagination, then there's action. And modern science doesn't even acknowledge consciousness as a thing, at least not one independent of the brain or some kind of chemical functions in the brain. Modern science also doesn't acknowledge the ether or the idea of energy or the energy body or sending energy. And I've demonstrated many, many times in my seminars, in live coachings, I've demonstrated the sending of energy, the sending of telepathy, many, many times. I've demonstrated that attention is an energy that can be felt, that people know whether you're looking at them from behind or not. I've been demonstrating the same since 30 years, but the science isn't interested in that because to them it doesn't exist. And what kind of science is that? That's why I keep doing quotation marks. Soon I have to run around doing everything in quotation marks because everything's so fake. They say the science on all that, there's no consciousness and there was a big bang that coincidentally happened and everything just coincidentally happened. They say the science on that is settled, right? The science is settled. And a truly scientific mind is actually inquisitive. And for an inquisitive mind, nothing is ever settled. Nothing is settled because something being settled finishes examination, finishes inquiry. The science is settled. That phrase alone is so anti scientific, anti curious, anti life. In fact, it's idiotic. The science is settled. And you might say, well, that's to mean that somehow we don't have to spend resources on this anymore. We can look into new things because that is settled. And if nothing is ever settled, then we can't focus on anything new. And I understand that. I understand that. But it's also used in political propaganda so that you do not inquire about falsehoods. There are many falsehoods out there that are considered settled, which actually aren't settled because a large enough crowd dissents. If you have 50% of the people saying that's not true, how can you say, as the science, that this is settled? If you have 90%, then it's pretty settled. 99%, very settled. I don't disagree with that. But when you have 50% of the people objecting, then you don't have something, a science in the first place. It's not a science, it's a propaganda tool. If you have someone saying, trust the science, that's not a scientist, it's a crook. Because science is not supposed to be based on trust or faith. It's supposed to be based on facts. So trust has no place in science, but trust does have a place in reality creation because that's what it takes to manifest new facts into being, to densify thoughts in the ether into material form. It requires trust and faith. So science says these are the facts, and reality creation says let's create new facts. And I've created many new facts in my life. At a time when the science used facts to say it's dangerous to travel because there's a pandemic, I traveled all over the place. I was in empty airports, which I gleefully filmed. Empty airplanes. It was like science fiction. 2020, 2021. Always me alone at the airport because I, in fact, create my own reality. I don't take my reality from what the TV says, what the science says, the scientist in his laboratory coat on TV. You know that you can put a crook into a laboratory coat and most people will believe he's a scientist just because he's wearing a laboratory coat? That's how easy it is to seduce and manipulate people into limiting and negative beliefs. So I was acting in defiance of what everyone else was doing, and people told me, my goodness, are you crazy? You're going to die. You're not even vaccinated, they said to me. Are you out of your mind? You're going to get killed for sure. But here I am. I'm still alive. It's still me. So everybody else is scared and staying home, and I'm not. I'm creating not based on science, but based on what I prefer. I've experienced so many things that are not science-based, especially around healing, where people come to me because the science can't help them, and I heal them within a fairly short time. I've experienced that again and again and again and again and again and again, that eventually just gets boring, and people give me these enthusiastic reports. And I'm like, that's great, yes. But actually, it's precisely what I expect. It's nothing special anymore. And here there's a bit of a disconnect here between me and the world because we have so many people that are so far away from that stage. I talk to them all the time. The other day, I talked to someone in Germany online on Zoom, and she was saying, well, here in Germany, we're more scientific, and the stuff you're doing is not really fact-based, is it? And I was like, well, if I get the results, is that fact-based? Are results facts? Because it's about results. What results am I getting, and what results are you getting? And I don't mind common medicine, mainstream medicine, if it gets the results, and often it does. Mainstream medicine often does get the results. However, I also often get the results. Most of the time, in fact, I get the results because my willpower is strong. I am a reality creator. So these days, miracles are not part of science. Consciousness is not part of science. In fact, anything of value is not part of science. I shouldn't say that. That's not true. It's not true. There is value to science. So rather than dealing only with what is and what you can see in your immediate surroundings, move to what you prefer to experience. And put some attention into that until it becomes more real. The more attention you put into something, the more real it becomes. And that is moving from science, mere science, to reality creation.